So the other day we were chilling in our group chat, our family group chat, and this picture, the picture that you see for the cover art, got posted into our family group chat. And in the family group chat is me, my wife Sharice, and our four kids, Dion, Cameron, Brandon, and our daughter Skylar. And so this picture gets posted, and I've seen this picture a gazillion times. Um, but it made me stop and think, like, one, how fast time flies, right? Because this picture was taken, I want to say, December of 1999, because Dion was born in August of 1999, and I think he's about four. No, this may be 2000, maybe like early 2000, maybe January of 2000, because he had to be 4 or 5 months old, I guess. He was a youngster. Um, but it just made me stop and think. Just one, how fast time flies, and then two, like the people in this picture. So I want to talk to you about the people that's in this picture. First, let me start with the little guy. Um, he was the first. As I mentioned, we have four kids now, but at the time that this picture was taken, like I said, somewhere around early 2000, he was the only one. So it's kind of hard to explain how much you pour into a child, particularly your first child. But we poured everything into him, and we loved him and loved him. And he was a ball of fun. He never met a stranger. Once he got to the point where he could talk, he would tell you his name, and he would say, "Hi, my name is Dion." But at this particular time, he was probably about, my guess is about 6 months old. Yeah, he's probably like 6 months old. So just early 2000. And he was a handful. At the time, he wasn't walking just yet. He was crawling, but we were still in the midst of just being new parents. And that was a great time. And it's funny because, like, and I don't know, many of you listening, if you have kids, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, you remember what your life was like before you had kids, and you remember what your life was like after you had kids, and the milestones kind of run together sometimes, but you kind of gauge everything as far as your memories off of when you had or didn't have any kids. And he was something else. I mean, like, all of our kids are special. He was definitely special, and still is. I mean, but he's a young man now. But just seeing this picture, man, just reminds me of just how much a bundle of joy literally he was. And by the time that he started crawling, because he was crawling around this time, I mean, like, you literally couldn't put him down. And at this stage, I remember this was right before he started crawling. We had an incident. Well, I had an incident, if you will. Sharice and I weren't married at the time. We had just gotten engaged. And I was watching Dion, and I was watching him, and we were watching a basketball game, and he was sitting next to me on the couch, and I put him down because I was holding him, and I put him down because he was going to sleep. And so, I'm thinking he's going to sleep, and Sharice had left, and she left the house or whatever like that. And so I'm sitting there on the couch, and he was sleep. I mean, like, literally sleep. And then I got into the game, and I wasn't really paying attention. And this dude rolls, and instead of rolling toward the couch, he rolls off the couch and hits the floor. Boom! And he starts crying. Man, listen, I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I broke my baby. And And of course, she had a fit. She was just like, I can't believe you let him fall off. I'm like, look, he fell off the couch. He rolled off. I knew he could roll, but he had this thing where he was just rolling. And of course he was fine because the couch was really, really low. So I mean, he didn't fall, he didn't hurt himself. I checked him out, and Sharice was like, we should take him to the hospital. I'm like, he's fine. Like, he doesn't have to go to the hospital. He doesn't have a concussion. He's not in concussion protocol. But yeah, that picture just reminds me, and like I said, he has become a great young man and great big brother to his brothers and sister, and just all around joy to be around. The young lady in the picture, Sharice, she was young. She was as I'm looking at the picture now, she was when I say full of energy, like we were a really young couple, because I think when we had Dion, I was 26, I think. And that would have made her 23, 23, 22, 23, somewhere around there. So, we were young, relatively young parents. And, I think the thing that I remember about Sharice was that, like, she was always on the go as far as the three of us. And the three of us, we were always moving around. Like, we would take Dion places, and we had some great friends that would babysit if anytime we wanted to go out and stuff like that. My parents would come down, and, her parents moved here from California, from LA. And, it was just, it was a great time. And the thing that I remember, like I said, Sharice she was full of energy, beautiful young lady, very intelligent. The thing that we always did, or she always did for me, was, and still does to this day, pushes me and challenges me to be a better person. And I think when you find that in a friend, and then you can turn that into a spouse, it's a beautiful thing. And that's how we, partly became how we are to this day, some 22 all going on 23 years later. Yeah, she was off the chain. And one of the cool things about her was, we laughed and we talked a lot back then. The only difference between her then and her now is that, like, back then, and we used to ride in a car a lot. We used to get in the car and just ride a lot, and we'd have great conversations in the car. Now, because she's older now, man, we get in the car, she'll be on her phone texting her friends, and then she'll fall asleep, if we're going any distance or something like that. But I'm used to it. I just need music. But yeah, that's the young lady that I fell in love with. And as the old saying goes, we still together. Last but not least, the kid in the picture, man, young fella. Wow, he looks so young. Not a gray hair on my face as I look at the picture. Yeah, man, I think that shirt was it was either a polo shirt or a Timberland shirt. I can't remember if it was polo or Timberland, but I used to love that shirt. I know, I think it was a Timberland shirt because I had on some jeans and some butter Tims with that outfit. That was my gear when we went to go take these pictures. And, of course, Sharice and Dion are both in white. I didn't have a white shirt, so I just went ahead and, wore what I wanted to wear. Who was that kid in the picture? Who's that young man? I can't tell you that he's the same person that you see today. Because the person that you see today is very much so more sophisticated and a little bit more mature than that kid. But I tell you what, man, that dude at that particular time, like, all he wanted to do was take on the world. The arrival of Dion changed everything, because I knew, that there was someone that totally unequivocally depended upon me to get it right and get it done and make it happen. And so I worked really hard, made a few dollars, and I was just trying to provide for my child and my wife, or girlfriend at the time, and Sharice and I. At the time we were engaged. At the time we took this picture, we were engaged, but we would get married later that year in 2000, September 23rd of 2000. But yeah, it was just that guy was a hustler. That young fella that you see in this picture was a hustler. And so, like I said, not much has changed. I mean, like I like to think that I'm still the same guy, not as, I'm probably maybe a little bit taller, definitely weigh a little bit more, still in shape. What else? That guy was, all about music at the time, music and his girl and his kid. And I had time for my friends and my family. But those two in the picture with me were my priority. And I don't think if you would have told me that day that we took that picture that we'd have what we have and, where we are in our lifetime, I don't necessarily know that I would have. Well, I can't say I wouldn't have believed it, but it's just, it seemed so far away. And like in that space of time, you're talking about almost 23 years have passed since we took this picture. And, I literally feel like I did like it happened yesterday. And sometimes I ask myself like, damn, where did the time go? But when you look at old pictures, you're able to reflect and reminisce. And that's what I'm doing on this episode. And it feels good. It feels good to look at him and see how he's grown into be a young man. And it feels good to look at her and see who she's become, and she's aged gracefully and still as beautiful as she's ever been and still the love of my life. And it's also good to look at that young man and say that, he's come a long way. And, I have a lot more patience than I did back then. And the drive and the push to be successful and to provide and have fun while doing it and being authentically me, I think that's still there. So in a lot of ways, I could say that the people in that picture didn't change, but we did. We grew, and more importantly, we grew together. And I love them, and that's all that matters. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Remember, the podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. From time to time, we drop bonus episodes on Sundays at midnight. If you feel inclined, feel free to support the 12 Kyle podcast by hitting me up on Cash App. $, spell it out, TWELVEKYLE. That's going to do it for me. Thank you for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5 G's.